All right, so we got Kansas City +1 versus Cincinnati.
Yeah, and so let me talk about this line for a minute, because by the time people hear this, my guess is it'll actually be a pick'em. So it opened Chiefs -2.5. It instantly, within minutes, went to Chiefs -1.5. By the next morning, by Monday morning, it was Chiefs +1.5. By Tuesday afternoon, it was Chiefs +2.5. So it went from Kansas City -2.5 at the instant open to Kansas City -1.5 very quickly thereafter, then through the 0 all the way to Cincinnati -2.5. It has now, since Mahomes practiced, it has now moved to Kansas City +1.5 to +1, and it looks like it's going to end up being a pick'em, if not Chiefs favored by a point by kickoff, but we'll see. But go ahead.
All right, the Bengals are getting 70% of the bets as road favorites.
Yeah.
You got to love that.
Yep.
Mahomes will be a home dog for only the second time ever.
Yep.
Lost to Buffalo as a home dog this year.
Mm-hmm.
At what number would you take the Bengals? +20, +25?
Okay. Well, listen, I wouldn't be taking the Bengals just out of principle. I don't think this is a great game. I don't think this is a game that comes down to the final possession.
Oh, you think one of these teams is going to blow the other team out? Or
well, I think
bad game.
I think the Chiefs are going to be in firm control of this game.
That's interesting.
I think that there's a lot going into the smoke on the Bengals right now. One is people were legitimately concerned about Mahomes' health. I understand that. But I think he's going to be okay. I saw him jogging around the practice field. I don't think he's going to be 100%.
He's got a couple more days.
The guy's the fact that he was a full participant in practice, not limited, but a full participant, is very, very positive. Go ahead.
So can you I know you can't lie on those types of things, but could you fudge it a little bit, saying he was a full participant, but really he was there the whole time, he was moving around, but
yes,
still kind of not practicing.
You could get in trouble for it, but you could, because the media is not there for the whole practice.
Right.
But when the media was there, we have video of him jogging and looking fine.
Yeah.
And he wasn't in a walking boot or any of that stuff. So there's that. Here's another stat that I think will blow people's minds. And we talked about it a lot on the Thursday pod. Joe Burrow is 5-1 in the postseason. The Bengals have been this dominant postseason team. Clutch, Joe Cool, all of it. In their 6 postseason games, do you know how many offensive touchdowns they have? I'm sorry, I left out a very important part of that.
Back to the turnover look.
No, well, hold on. In the Bengals' 6 postseason games, how many fourth quarter off? Because Joe Burrow is the Mr. Clutch, all of it. How many fourth quarter playoff touchdowns do you think they have? Fourth quarter offensive playoff touchdowns, because we all saw Sam Hubbard
with 2.
The fumble 6. In the 6 games, you think they have 2? The answer is 0.
0. Okay.
So the Bengals, who again, I give massive credit to, and I give massive credit to Burrow, I think people are slightly misremembering how they've won their games. So let's go through all of them before we talk about them coming to Arrowhead, which the players on the Bengals, not Joe, but the other ones, are calling Burrowhead because he won there one time. Okay? Their first playoff game ever against the Las Vegas Raiders, they had a 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter. They added a field goal, and they escaped with a 7-point win after Derek Carr refused to throw the ball into the end zone. They scored 3 fourth-quarter points in that game. Against the Tennessee Titans, it was tied going into the fourth quarter. They scored 0 points that entire fourth quarter until, with 20 seconds left, Ryan Tannehill threw one of the worst picks you've ever seen right around midfield, and they ended up kicking a field goal at the gun. So that is now 6 fourth quarter points. Against the Chiefs, it was tied going into the fourth quarter. They kicked 1 field goal in the fourth quarter, and then, of course, obviously, kicked a field goal in overtime. But that is now 9 fourth quarter points. Against the Rams, they had a 20-16 lead going into the fourth quarter in the Super Bowl and scored 0 points. Against the Ravens, that game going into the fourth quarter was tied 17-17. Tyler Huntley fumbled. Sam Hubbard returned it. And that was their only points of the fourth quarter. And against the Buffalo Bills, they were up 24-10 going into the fourth quarter, added a field goal, and that was it. So, they have been excellent defensively during this playoff run. The turnover stuff is historic. I think it's now 13-3. The turnovers, it's 13-3 or 14-3 or 12-3, something like that.
Forced turnovers
to turnovers given up. And the defense has been unbelievable. And Burrow has been clutch on third and longs, particularly early in the games. However, with all that said, they have never scored 28 points in a playoff game. They have never scored a fourth quarter offensive touchdown. They are averaging, as a team, 2 points, or aside from the Hubbard play, as an offense, I should say, 2 points per fourth quarter. So the Bengals' unstoppable offense, not exactly true. Now we talk about this. The story going into the Bills game was, down 3 offensive linemen. Bills couldn't take advantage of it. What did I tell you earlier about the Chiefs? Second league in sacks and pressures and quarterback hits. The single best interior defensive lineman in football since Aaron Donald had a down year plays for the Chiefs in Chris Jones. Now, it's weird. Chris Jones has 0 playoff sacks in his career. Why is that? Well, because he's always getting double teamed, which is why Frank Clark has the 4th most playoff sacks in NFL history coming around the edge. I think the Chiefs are going to be able to take advantage of that offensive line. I think the Chiefs, we forget, the Bengals did not look like they were in the Chiefs' class in the AFC Championship game last year before Mahomes made that mistake at halftime and then kind of short-circuited the rest of the way what the only truly bad playoff performance of his career. The first time these two teams met, the Chiefs had a fourth quarter lead and were driving to essentially, I think, salt the game away. And of all people, Travis Kelce fumbles the football, and the Bengals end up winning the game, holding on. Then after they score their touchdown, Andy Reid makes a bad decision, I feel like, taking the ball out of Mahomes' hands, kicking a field goal. They miss the field goal. Bengals salt the game away. The Chiefs are better than them. Mahomes, as great as Burrow is, Mahomes is better than Burrow. It is at Arrowhead. And if you believe, as I think most people do at this point, that Mahomes has a real chance to be not one of the greatest players ever, but has a real chance to be the greatest player ever, this is the type of game and the type of moment that the greatest players ever add to their legend. Not at 100%, a chance for redemption against the team that knocked you out last year and prevented you from going to 3 straight Super Bowls. On an injured ankle, goes out there and deals. So listen, we're going to do exotics later. The Chiefs -6.5 might be on a card I have. The Chiefs -9.5 might be on a card I have. I think the Chiefs look great. I think Pacheco has a big game. And I think Kadarius Toney has a big game. And I think the Kansas City Chiefs go back to the Super Bowl. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.